So I did that one thing, where you call out and you tell your job that you're sick and that you're not coming into work today. I tried to do that yesterday. And guess what? It didn't work. I ended up spending most of the day on the phone or chatting with people at the corporation because when I'm not there, things don't happen. And so I was sitting at the salon trying to relax because I think I was starting to have a nervous breakdown yesterday. The intensity of working every single day combined with burnout that I've had for years. And then you add on all of the stress of having to deal with major changes at the corporation, all the way from the tippy top, all the way down to the tippy bottom, the tech janitor, which is what I really call myself, is it's hard. And so, regardless of whether or not I have sick leave or PTO, it's nearly impossible for me to use it because things don't work. When you have a corporation where you have one person that does so many different things, like myself, they don't let you take that time off. I literally was sitting in a chair, just with my eyes closed, when I got the call. It's like, we need equipment at the corporate office right now. And I'm just like, I'm offline. Don't bother me. And they're like, well, who else is going to do it? And that's a good question. It comes up a lot. Who else is going to do it? Gen Z couldn't figure out how to log into a machine. And I don't know what to do sometimes with the aptitude of Gen Z is so low that you wonder, it's like, how did these people even work at McDonald's? You ask yourself that question all the time. Why are so many people stuck working at the bottom level jobs? And it's simple. A lot of people, especially in the service industry, are bottom level workers. I don't know why ChatGPT generated this script like this. What I wrote was a long rant about how we have a service industry that doesn't have good jobs anymore. And this is what it created for me because I'm frustrated that I've been looking for a better job now for more than half a year. And I have no interviews, no callbacks, no emails. I've updated my resume with a professional service and nothing. No one wants to pay anymore. And with the types of jobs that are out there, there isn't a whole lot out there, especially for Gen Z with their inability to adapt to anything. They're completely useless unless you're watching them all of the time. All right, let's see what it wrote for my monologue today. You ever notice how the second you prove you're even slightly competent at your job, suddenly you're everyone's go to person for literally everything? Like one day you're just quietly doing your work, like me, quietly scrubbing the toilet with your own toothbrush. And the next, you're getting emails from executives asking you to handle things that are way above your pay grade. You mean like ordering an electric desk for the tippy top of the corporation? You mean something like that where I have to put down my toothbrush and rush over to my computer to get other departments involved because he wants it as soon as possible? Yeah, that happened. Uh, let's see. And the best part, if you ever push back, they hit you with, well, we can always find someone else, as if they didn't just spend 6 months desperately trying to replace the last guy who quit. Honestly, at this point, I might just start playing dumb because apparently the less you do, the more important you become. That was something that my first senior manager said to me when he was getting canned. He said, Millennial Steam, you're now the guy. And at the time, I didn't get it because they worked him into oblivion. This guy got worked into the ground, just like every other senior level manager that's supposed to be my manager. But five of them are gone, and I'm still here. Why? Because I'm very good at what I do despite being told that I'm useless and disposable every single day. When your own management thinks so little of you, you begin to embody what they say to you every single day. Your direct management tells you constantly, you suck. And yet, you'll look over at your screen and there's another email from the tippy top that didn't go through the correct channels. All right, let's get into talking point number 1. The corporate job title scam. Your job title means absolutely nothing. It was probably made up on the spot by HR in order to get people to take that job. At least that's the way they did it to me. The old bait and switch. The senior manager wasn't even shy about trying to hide the fact that he had to bamboozle me into taking a position that was way more work than what the job title was. The job title was very inconspicuous. Assistant warehouse worker. In a sense, janitor. Technology janitor. But as things progressively got worse, more and more of the management, senior manager responsibilities started flowing into my position. The less and less the senior manager wanted to show up to work, the less he was doing any of the managing. Until one day, I realized that somehow they tricked me into being the senior manager, and that I was now stuck in a job that made no sense. How do I oversee supporting the support team when I don't work in the support? It just boggles the mind. Again, how did I end up here? And then there's always this that I hear from my coworkers, and these are people that have been with this company for 5+ years. If we change your job title, we have to pay you more. My coworker that I was with this week said to me, Millennial Stem, they are never going to change my title. They've kept everyone in tech entry level for as long as they possibly can, because they know that if they start investing in you, you'll become more valuable to another company that will pay you more money. So instead of investing in their own workers, they don't. It's trial by fire every single day. And this is something I probably tell Gen Z every single day at work. He's like, well, why don't they offer more training? Really? Do you think they want to offer training to someone that makes a little bit more than minimum wage when they can replace you? You're just a number on a spreadsheet. And when you don't work out, you're gone. If you can't do the job based on your own training, then they get rid of you. I've seen it done. I've seen it done to a lot of people there. Over the past few years, I've seen, about 1,000 a year. We're about halfway through. So I'd say about 3,500 workers come through the corporation so far in my tenure there. That's a lot of people. A lot of people. And it just becomes a mill. Sometimes I'll ask HR, it's like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're restocking. Once you decimate your population of workers, you just have to keep bringing in more. And sometimes the quality of those workers isn't great. But again, neither is the pay. Talking point number 2, overworked and undervalued. If you take a day off, suddenly everything's on fire. But when you ask for a raise, we can't afford that right now. But when you look at what they're spending on things that don't make any sense, and this is something I hear from all over the corporation, it's like, well, why are they doing this, and this, but they haven't given anyone a raise in 3 years? They don't want to give raises. They don't want workers being happy. Being miserable at your job is baked right into the equation. You're not supposed to win. You're always supposed to lose when it comes to Evil Corp. And the second you start registering that you're winning a little bit, Evil Corp's got to remind you that you're both disposable and useless. because that's how they work. Because if a person like myself is not able to take any time off because things will start falling apart, it goes to show that the system isn't very well put together, right? The system works the way that they created it. It doesn't work for the workers. Talking point number 3. If you're too bad at your job, they will just let you float because firing people is too much paperwork. Meanwhile, management is mysteriously never available when actual problems arise. Companies don't want smart or motivated workers. I did that little bit with the SpongeBob analogy where they want someone to show up at work, flip burgers, and somehow be able to afford a house. Like I was talking to a secretary the other day, and she told me, "Hey, Millennials team, even an entry level person going into the military can afford to get a house. That same person, though, getting an entry level position out here in the industry will never own a home. Never. Everything about home ownership and the service economy contradict one another. There's no way that a person working at Radio Shack today could be able to afford even a starter home. I know for a fact that they're going to put me into the pine box long after everything goes dark in my life and I will never own a home. Sometimes I'm afraid I'll never own another car at this point. I've been paying on that piece of junk for 3 years. I still owe exactly how much that car cost 3 years ago. I've been making 3 years of interest payments. And the second I miss one, the bank will show up here to take it away, to repossess my car. Same thing with your home. If you ever get into a home and you lose your job, suddenly the bank's going to show up and toss you out onto the street. So you could work your whole life to buy a house, have one last mortgage payment, and something happens. You can't make that last payment. And theoretically speaking, the bank could show up and kick you out of your house. That's how fragile our lives are. We depend 100% on the corporations to keep us employed and keep us alive. In a real sense, corporate America keeps its workers alive for the sheer benefit of exploiting them. When they are no longer necessary, just like a fart in the wind, the corporation raises up one leg and out goes the proletariat. Gone. Massive layoffs, stagnant wages, the inability to find any kind of job security. And that's what gets me. Is that I was talking to that secretary on Thursday, and one of the first things she said to me is like, every time I show up to work, I close my eyes and I put my login information, and when it goes through, I have employment for one more day. When I can't log in, I'll know that it's the end. And for a lot of people, that's how you find out that you no longer work there. Keep typing in your login information and nothing happens. And that's when you get the call. You look over at your phone and it's that grim reaper from HR that's calling to let you know that it's time. Your expiration date is up. It's time to either find help, because it's not going to come from the government. There is no social safety net, people. I've fallen through the social safety net at least a dozen times in my life. There's no net. There isn't even a pillow. It's straight into the abyss, and you might even go straight from losing your job to becoming homeless within weeks. That's the social safety net. There are millions of people out there on the street right now living in their cars, crashing on someone's couch when they can. Remember what I call that? When you don't own keys to anywhere, but you're just bouncing around soft homelessness is a very large part of our society. And it will be. And it will get worse because as prices for housing increase without the wages to match, only those winners in society, meaning mainly rich people, only those people are going to be able to stay inside. The rest of us are going to become the walking dead, just roaming the streets looking for brains, looking for sweet, sweet, warm brains. All right, our final talking point for today. Winning move is not to care. And this is something that I tried to adopt months ago. Once I realized that my expiration date was coming up pretty soon, any minute, from moment to moment at Evil Corp of my day, it feels like any minute I'm waiting for the shoulder tap. You don't work here anymore. Get out. But eventually you have to choose. Either to be the hero who saves the company for free, or be the villain who watches it burn. There are only two choices. And if someone left a comment a couple days ago on one of my videos saying there's two choices in this world, you can join up or you can try to make it in the service industry. One, you give up your body for sure when you sign that line. You give Uncle Sam the keys to your nads, or you try to make it in this economy, which is hell bent on making as many people dirt poor as humanly possible. There are no other paths. Unless you're rich or you have connections and you can choose your own path. For the rest of us, for the proletariat, there is only two choices. And that's why every time someone asks me, it's like, well, why didn't you try the military? And it's like, do you know how many mental problems I have? They'd never take someone as crazy as me. And then you ask people, and this is also a very common reply. And this is the reply that I actually got from Jill at the salon. The first day that I met her, I asked her, it's like, you're still really young. Why didn't you sign up? And she said she tried, but they kicked her out because she couldn't get through the PT training. And while I was talking to another person the other day, she told me that one of the hardest parts of keeping your military job is having to keep your physical training up to their standards. It's not just a regular job. It's a job where you may have to leave whatever you're doing that's not fighting and go fight. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I've never had any interest in military service in my entire life. I love playing Call of Duty, but the respawn on the battlefield isn't as easy as it is in Call of Duty. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you're having a wonderful March 1st. I hope all of you were able to pay your rent. And let me know if you couldn't pay your rent. I'm very curious to see what percentage of my viewership realizes that today is rent day, but you ain't got it.